It rarely pours this hard in Los Angeles. But tonight, the rain felt like a cheap special effect arranged by some third-rate Hollywood director specifically to mock me. Look, Jax, we just don't belong in the same world. Chloe's voice was even colder than this November rain. She stood under the eaves of the UCLA entrance, wearing a perfectly tailored Chanel jacket. And me? I was standing there in a soaked pizza delivery uniform, clutching a cheap pink velvet box with a death grip. Inside was a Tiffany necklace. It was the culmination of 6 months of back-to-back delivery shifts, the result of every cent I'd scraped together. Even on those late nights when I was weaving through the streets, shivering with a fever. You're just a penniless delivery guy who can't even afford one of the handbags I usually carry. What kind of future could you possibly give me? Chloe's beautiful blue eyes were filled with blatant disgust and disdain. Before I could even open my mouth to explain, she snatched the box from my hand and, without even glancing at it, hurled it straight into a muddy puddle by the roadside. Splatter. The sound of the necklace hitting the mud was the sound of my dignity from the past 6 months being completely crushed. Hey, babe, why are you wasting your breath on this delivery guy? My Ferrari's leather seats are getting cold. A fiery red Ferrari sports car roared to a halt by the curb. The window rolled down, revealing Preston's punchable face. He was the heir to a famous old money family in Los Angeles. A textbook example of a spoiled, arrogant rich kid. The coldness on Chloe's face melted away the moment she turned around, replaced by a smile so sweet it was sickening. She stepped out into the rain in her high heels without hesitation and slid into the Ferrari's passenger seat. Preston looked at me, let out a mocking whistle, and then deliberately floored the accelerator. The sports car's rear wheels spun violently, and the muddy water sprayed from the exhaust drenched me instantly. The students nearby, who were sheltering from the rain, all raised their phones, frantically filming me in my pathetic state. Look, that pizza boy is being a simp again. Oh my God, this is so pathetic. Posted online right now. Title at the most miserable simp in Los Angeles is. Flashbulbs and mockery intertwined in the torrential rain. I looked down at the mud-stained necklace in the puddle, cold rainwater sliding down my cheeks. Man, if you think I'm going to kneel on the ground and wail like some loser, you've got it all wrong. Watching that Ferrari disappear around the neon-lit street corner, the thing inside me called naivety finally died completely. For a gold digger, I turned my life into a joke. Enough is enough. To hell with love. And to hell with Chloe. I swear, from this day forward, even if I, Jax, starve to death on the streets, I will never spare another glance for a vain woman like her. Just as I was in utter despair, completely severing the last shred of illusion I held for her, a cold, emotionless mechanical voice suddenly echoed deep within my mind. Ding! Detected that the host has completely eradicated the simp gene. Neuronal restructuring complete. The goddess's regret system is now officially activated. I froze on the spot, even stopping the motion of wiping the rainwater from my face. What on earth is this? Has my brain short-circuited because of the water? But the voice did not stop. Instead, it echoed with absolute clarity inside my skull, as if someone were broadcasting directly into my brain. The system text even projected itself before my retinas as a pale blue light screen. System rules successfully bound. From now on, as long as any so-called goddesses who once looked down on the host experience feelings of regret, the host will receive infinite cash critical hits and god-level rewards. Goddess regrets once. Reward of $1 million in cash. Goddess regrets 10 times. Reward of a $50 million commercial empire in the city center. The goddess regrets to the point of collapse. Rewarded with the supreme godhead, ascending to godhood in the flesh. I stood dazed in the muddy water, my heart beginning to race uncontrollably. I usually read quite a few web novels during my breaks while delivering food, but I swear, when this kind of pie-in-the-sky stroke of luck actually hits you, the adrenaline rush is more intoxicating than chugging an entire bottle of high-proof tequila. Before I could fully process this insane information, the mechanical voice rang out once more. Ding! System activation successful. Congratulations, host, on receiving the newbie gift pack. $1 million in cash has been legally laundered through offshore Swiss banks and is currently being wired into the host's personal exclusive account. All sources of funds are absolutely secure. Please check your balance. The moment the voice faded, the old phone in my pocket, its screen shattered into a spiderweb, vibrated violently. With trembling hands, I pulled out the phone and roughly wiped the water stains off the screen. It was a top-tier SMS notification from Bank of America. Dear Mr. Jax, your account ending in 9527 has just received an instant international wire transfer in the amount of $1 million. Your account has been automatically upgraded to our bank's highest level Black Gold Super VIP status. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, 1 million. I stared fixedly at that long string of zeros on the screen, counting them 3 whole times. My eyes slowly turned bloodshot, not out of sadness, but because a sense of ecstasy, powerful enough to tear through my chest, was spreading frantically. $1 million. It was sitting there in my account, as real as could be. Just a minute ago, I was a broke delivery driver who had to save for half a year just to afford a $2,000 necklace. The laughingstock of the entire internet. But now, I am a millionaire who can drop 7 figures in cash at a moment's notice. I slowly raised my head, looking in the direction where Chloe and Preston had left. The rain continued to fall, but I felt the blood in my veins boiling like molten lava. $1 million was just the starting reward for a novice. As long as I could make that high and mighty. Ice Queen School Belle regret her choices. I would possess a $50 million business empire, perhaps even more. Enough to buy all of Los Angeles. Enough to ruthlessly crush those who mocked me under my feet. Chloe, I whispered, staring at the empty, rain-slicked street as a cold, expectant curve tugged at the corner of my mouth. I hope the tears you shed next are worth something. Don't you dare disappoint me. The next day, the Los Angeles sun was blindingly bright, as if last night's torrential downpour had never happened. I wasn't wearing that pizza shop uniform that reeked of cheap cheese. Instead, I had thrown on a clean white t-shirt and jeans, sitting in the back of an Uber and casually scrolling through my phone. Having a solid $1 million sitting in my bank account feels exactly like having a full syringe of liquid gold injected into my veins. Even the air I breathe tastes sweet. I opened my social media, and to no one's surprise, that vain woman Chloe had just updated her status 10 minutes ago. In the photo, she was wearing an incredibly form-fitting red dress, snuggling into Preston's arms with the backdrop of Beverly Hills' most elite luxury car center. The caption read, "My Prince Preston is finally taking me to pick up that starry blue Aston Martin I've been dreaming of today. Some poor losers who can only ride beat-up electric scooters won't even get to touch the tires of this car in their entire lives." Beneath the post, a swarm of sycophants and plastic sisters from Los Angeles University were frantically liking and commenting. I looked at the screen and couldn't help but let out a scoff. A sky blue Aston Martin? A limited edition priced at $800,000? I'm terribly sorry, but that car belongs to me now. Driver, could you speed it up? Head to the Beverly Luxury Auto Center, I said, tapping the back of the driver's seat. 20 minutes later, I strode into the palatial showroom. The marble floors reflected the glow of the crystal chandeliers, and the air was thick with a blend of high-grade motor oil and expensive perfume. At a single glance, I spotted it. Parked in the most prominent spot in the center of the showroom was that mesmerizing sky blue Aston Martin, looking like a beast from the deep sea. Standing beside the car, Preston was frowning, seemingly locked in a hushed dispute with the sales manager. Man, isn't $800,000 a bit much? My dad just docked my trust fund last month. Can you give me a 10% discount? Or maybe an installment plan? Preston lowered his voice, clearly feeling the sting of the price tag. Chloe, meanwhile, stood to the side, snapping selfies frantically with her phone, completely oblivious to Preston's predicament. I'm sorry, Master Preston, but this is a global limited edition. We do not accept any discounts or installment plans. The sales manager maintained a professional and polite smile. There's no need to give him a discount on this car, I said, strolling over slowly with my hands in my pockets. Because I'll take it. Hearing that familiar voice, Chloe spun around as if struck by an electric shock. When she realized it was me, her delicate face instantly contorted into an extremely exaggerated expression. Jax? Have you lost your mind? Chloe looked at me as if I were a lunatic, her shrill voice echoing through the hall. How did a delivery boy like you sneak in here? Where are the guards? Get this pathetic-smelling stalker out of here right now. Preston also snapped back to his senses. Looking at my ordinary clothes, he let out an arrogant laugh. Yo, isn't this the pizza boy who was rolling around in the mud last night? What? Did you snap because the trauma was too much? Do you have any idea how much this car costs? $800,000. You couldn't afford a single door even if you sold both your kidneys and your bone marrow. The sales manager's gaze also turned cold, and he immediately reached for his walkie-talkie to call security. I didn't pay the slightest bit of attention to that barking rich kid mutt. Instead, I pulled the American Bank black gold card, emblazoned with the eagle logo, directly from my pocket and tossed it onto the display counter. The card hit the glass surface with a sharp, crisp clack. $800,000. Right. Full payment. Swipe it now. I'm in a hurry. I stared into the sales manager's eyes, my voice so calm it even surprised me. The moment the sales manager saw that black gold card, his finger, which had been about to call security, froze instantly. As a seasoned veteran who had spent years navigating the circles of Beverly Hills, how could he not recognize the top-tier black card that represented absolute wealth and credit status? Jax, what are you still pretending for? You think you can scare people with a piece of scrap plastic? Chloe crossed her arms, her face full of ridicule. Who do you think you are? The Wolf of Wall Street? The sales manager ignored Chloe's clamoring. He took the card respectfully with both hands and walked toward a portable card reader, a layer of cold sweat even breaking out on his forehead. Preston crossed his arms with a cold sneer, waiting to watch me make a fool of myself. Beep. Transaction successful. The receipt printer made a smooth whirring sound as a long white slip was spat out. The sales manager suddenly bowed deeply at a 90-degree angle, his voice trembling slightly with excitement. Respected Mr. Jax, the payment is complete. This starry sky blue Aston Martin now belongs entirely to you. We will process the paperwork for you as quickly as possible. The entire showroom instantly fell into a deathly silence. The sneer on Preston's face froze completely, his eyes nearly popping out of his head. As for Chloe, the color drained from her face in a single second, her lips trembling slightly. She stared fixedly at the successful transaction receipt, then looked back at me, as if a nuclear bomb had just detonated in her mind. That delivery driver she had despised and trampled into the dirt had actually bought the supercar of her dreams in full without even blinking? If Jax was this wealthy, then what on earth had she missed out on last night? At that very moment, a mechanical voice that sounded like heavenly music rang out in my mind. Ding! Detected target character Chloe experiencing intense regret for the first time. Emotion rating: extreme shock and regret. Congratulations to the host for meeting the initial critical hit conditions. The system's massive reward mechanism has been triggered. Reward 1. $30 million in cash has been deposited into the host's black gold account. Reward 2. 100% absolute controlling interest in the 7-star Royal Crown Hotel in Beverly Hills. Ownership transfer documents have been automatically generated and are now in effect. Listening to the voice in my head, I tilted my head back slightly and looked at the pale, flustered Chloe standing before me. $30 million, plus one of Los Angeles's top 7-star hotels, all because she felt just a tiny hint of regret. Chloe, what are you dazing off for? I stepped forward, took the car keys offered by the sales manager with both hands, and shook them in front of her eyes. A wicked smile curled on my lips. Weren't you going to show off this car on your moments? What a pity, now. The passenger seat of this car isn't even fit for a dog to sit in. Jax, where did you get so much money? Chloe's voice was trembling. She stared fixedly at the Aston Martin keys in my hand as if they were some magical object that didn't belong to this world. Her chest heaved violently, the venom of regret spreading frantically through her veins. I didn't even bother to acknowledge her. I pulled open the door of the starry blue supercar, and accompanied by the low, sexy roar of the engine, like a prowling beast, I floored the accelerator and blasted out of the luxury car center right under Preston's gaze, whose face looked worse than if he had just eaten literal shit. Speeding down the palm-lined avenues of Los Angeles, I held the steering wheel with one hand while using the other to tap open the system's light screen in my mind. $30 million in cash was already sitting quietly in my account, but what made my blood boil even more was the digital contract on the system interface radiating a dazzling golden light. 100% ownership deed for the Royal Crown Hotel, Beverly Hills. It was an absolute landmark of Los Angeles, a den of luxury used by politicians, top Hollywood stars, and global tycoons to flaunt their status. And now, I was its sole tyrant. Just then, my phone began to vibrate frantically. The caller ID displayed an unfamiliar, premium vanity number. I swiped to answer, and a deep, professional, even somewhat cold yet profoundly respectful male voice immediately came through the Bluetooth speaker. Respected Mr. Jax. Hello, I am Dominic, the Chief Executive Officer of the Royal Crown Hotel. I have received the absolute urgent secret order regarding the change of the majority shareholder. The entire hotel is currently on the highest level of alert, ready at any moment to welcome you to inspect your domain. Dominic. I had heard that name before. In Los Angeles's high society circles, he was known as the thug in a suit, notorious for his ruthless tactics and regarded as the sharpest blade in the hands of top-tier capitalists. And now, the hilt of that blade was held by me, a former delivery driver. Well done, Dominic. I stared at the traffic light ahead, a cold smirk tugging at the corner of my mouth. I'm heading over now. By the way, are there any special reservations at the hotel tonight? Dominic flipped through his tablet on the other end of the line, reporting quickly and clearly. Sir, the largest Starry Sky banquet hall on the top floor has been booked by the young master of the Preston family. Apparently, it's to show off to a female friend of his, celebrating some sort of car delivery ceremony. The booking just went into effect. Preston? Celebrating a new car? I almost burst out laughing. This stupid pig. I had already snatched the car right out from under him. And now, just to save face in front of Chloe, he was actually forcing a buyout of a 7-star hotel to try and get even. Dominic, listen carefully to my first command. I whipped the steering wheel around, and the Aston Martin let out a bone-chilling roar as it tore off toward Beverly Hills. At your service, boss. Clear the floor. My voice sounded exceptionally cold within the enclosed cabin. Clear out the Starry Sky ballroom for me. Aside from Preston and that woman named Chloe, kick out every other soul. Tonight, I'm going to personally throw them a party they'll never forget. As you wish, sir. I will show them what hell truly feels like. Dominic didn't ask for a reason. Such was his caliber as a top-tier subordinate. 15 minutes later, my sports car screeched to a halt, parked arrogantly across the entrance of the magnificent Royal Crown Hotel. I didn't even need to honk. 2 rows of white security personnel in crisp uniforms snapped into formation like a military unit. At the front, A middle-aged man in a bespoke dark suit, sporting a sharp buzz cut and eyes as piercing as a hawk's, stepped forward quickly. He personally pulled the car door open for me, then followed it with an unhesitating 90-degree deep bow. "Welcome, my king." Dominic's voice was booming and filled with awe. As he gestured, 2 rows of security personnel bowed their heads in perfect unison, creating a truly breathtaking scene. I straightened my collar, though I was only wearing a plain t-shirt. The confidence of holding over 30 million in cash and owning this entire hotel made me feel as if I were walking upon a throne in the heart of Los Angeles. "Have they arrived?" I asked coldly, striding into the lobby that was as vast as a palace. "They arrived just 5 minutes ago, sir. They are currently sipping champagne in the Starry Sky banquet hall on the top floor. Shall I have security throw them out immediately?" Dominic followed half a step behind me, like a most loyal shadow. "No rush." I stepped into the private observation elevator, watching the mesmerizing Los Angeles nightscape unfold beneath my feet. The hunt has only just begun. A quick kill is too boring. I want them to watch with their own eyes as they fall from heaven straight into a cesspool. The elevator reached the top floor. The moment the doors opened, the sound of melodious violins and affected, flirtatious giggles drifted into my ears. "Oh, Preston. You're truly amazing." Even though we didn't get the car, being able to book the starry ballroom at the Royal Crown, every girl at LAU is going to be so jealous of me. That was Chloe's voice. So artificial it was nauseating. I let out a cold sneer and gave a signal to Dominic behind me. Dominic understood perfectly. He kicked open the heavy, carved banquet hall doors, which were worth hundreds of thousands. Thud! The massive crash cut through all the music and flirtatious laughter. Chloe was holding a crystal flute of champagne, standing beside Preston like a proud peacock. Seeing the doors kicked open so violently, Preston immediately jumped up like a dog whose tail had been stepped on. "What do you think you're doing? Do you have any idea who I am? I'm a member of the Preston family, and I've booked this entire place. Get your manager out here." Dominic walked into the banquet hall expressionless, looking at Preston as if he were looking at a dead man. Then, under their shocked gazes, Dominic stepped aside with extreme deference, clearing a path. With steady steps, I slowly entered the banquet hall and walked straight toward the most luxurious seat in all of Los Angeles. Under Chloe's instantly frozen gaze, I sat down with complete naturalness, crossed my legs, and looked down at them coldly. "Good evening, you two." I spread my hands, smiling like a devil. "Welcome to my hotel. Jax, this is your hotel?" Preston burst into a hyena-like fit of laughter, as if he had just heard the funniest stand-up routine in all of America. He pointed at me and turned to Dominic. "President Dominic, is your hotel security eating shit? I spent $1 million to book this venue, and you let a broke delivery boy in here to act crazy? Throw him out immediately." Chloe snapped out of it as well, the shock on her face turning into contempt. "Jax, haven't you had enough? It wasn't enough to rent a supercar to play rich, and now you're here pretending to be the boss? Do you have any idea who Mr. Dominic is? A piece of bottom-tier trash like you dares to talk big in front of him?" Faced with their mockery, I didn't even bother to change my sitting position. I simply tilted my head slightly and gave Dominic a look. There wasn't a trace of emotion on Dominic's cold face. Without even glancing at Preston, he raised his right hand and snapped his fingers. In an instant, a dozen burly security guards in black suits and tactical sunglasses swarmed into the banquet hall like ghosts, directly surrounding Preston and Chloe. "Dominic, what are you doing? I am the heir to the Preston family." Preston finally sensed that something was wrong, shouting with a bravado that masked his inner fear. "Young Master Preston," Dominic said, slowly adjusting his suit cuffs with his white-gloved hands while looking at him as if he were trash. "Even if your father were standing here himself today, he wouldn't dare yell at my boss like that. Furthermore, let me correct a grave mistake of yours." Dominic turned around, faced me, and bowed slightly with utmost respect. His booming voice echoed throughout the entire banquet hall. "Just 1 hour ago, Mr. Jax completed a full acquisition of 100% of the Royal Crown Hotel's shares. From this moment on, every brick and tile in this building, even the very air you breathe, belongs to Mr. Jax." Clatter. The crystal goblet in Chloe's hand dropped straight onto the pure wool carpet. Expensive champagne splashed all over her feet, but she didn't seem to notice. Her eyes, adorned with exquisite eyeliner, were fixed intently on me, her pupils undergoing a magnitude 12 earthquake. "Impossible. That's absolutely impossible." Preston shook his head frantically, the fat on his face trembling. "He's just a pizza delivery boy. Where would he get that much money?" "Dominic, have you been tricked by him?" "Young Master Preston, your reservation has been forcibly cancelled. The $1 million liquidated damages have been refunded to your account." Dominic's gaze sharpened, his tone carrying a bone-chilling coldness. "Now, take your female companion and get out of my boss's sight. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind having security throw you both directly out of the penthouse window." The security guards in black immediately stepped forward, hoisting Preston up by his arms like a helpless chick. The usually arrogant rich heir was now pale with terror, unable to squeeze out a single defiant word as he was forcibly dragged toward the exit. Wait! Let go of me! Chloe suddenly began to struggle violently. She shook off the guard's hands and stumbled a few steps toward me in her high heels. Her once haughty face now a mask of panic and disbelief. She finally realized that the man sitting in the head seat, radiating a suffocatingly powerful aura, was no longer the sycophant she could trample on at will. The limited edition supercar was real. The 7-star hotel was real. I possessed the ultimate wealth she had spent her entire life dreaming of clinging to. Jax, is this all real? Chloe's voice instantly cracked with a sob, her eyes filling with a nauseating display of feigned vulnerability. Actually, everything I said last night was just to test you. Are you still mad at me? We were together for 6 whole months. I know you still have feelings for me. Right. Watching her face change faster than the flip of a page, I felt nothing but a wave of nausea. Stop right there, Chloe. Save that cheap acting of yours for a walk-on role in Hollywood. I stood up and looked down at her, my gaze colder than a winter night wind in Los Angeles. I turned to Dominic and announced my rules in a flat tone. Dominic, have a solid gold sign set up at the entrance of the first-floor lobby tomorrow. Make sure the lettering is large enough. Tell all of Los Angeles that. Sorry, our new boss says, no dogs or X's allowed. As you wish, sir, Dominic said, giving a cold wave of his hand. No, Jax, you can't do this to me, Chloe screamed in despair as she was ruthlessly dragged out by 2 burly security guards. One of her high heels fell off in the hallway, and her once exquisite hairstyle was now a disheveled mess. She looked as wretched and pathetic as a stray dog. As the doors slammed shut and a deathly silence returned to the banquet hall, my mind instantly erupted into chaos. Ding! Detected target character Chloe experiencing extreme despair and regret. Moral compass and worldview completely shattered. Emotion rating. Nuclear level outburst. Congratulations to the host for meeting the consecutive critical hit conditions. The system is beginning to liquidate the god-level rewards. Listening to the heavenly voice in my mind, I walked slowly to the massive floor-to-ceiling window, watching Chloe and Preston being tossed out of the hotel entrance by security like 2 tiny ants. I raised a fresh glass of champagne from the table and toasted my own reflection in the glass from afar. This is only the beginning. Chloe, I'm going to show you what true hell looks like. The news of the acquisition of the Royal Crown Hotel was like dropping a nuclear bomb into the stagnant waters of Los Angeles. In just 2 short days, my name, Jax, became the most taboo yet most sought-after mysterious symbol among California's high society. On Friday night, a high-profile charity gala was held at a premier private estate in Beverly Hills. It was rumored that the entry threshold required a net worth of over $100 million. Yet I was the guest of honor, personally entreated by the organizers with 12 consecutive invitations sent via private helicopter. Dressed in a haute couture suit flown in overnight from Italy by Dominic, I leaned lazily against the Roman column in the corner of the banquet hall, holding a dry martini. I watched as those Hollywood stars and Wall Street titans, people who usually seemed untouchable on television, now circled like sharks smelling blood, desperate to get close to me, yet held back by my powerful aura and the ring of black-clad bodyguards. The feeling? How should I put it? It was 10,000 times more satisfying than getting a 5-star rating back when I was delivering food. It seems our new king of Los Angeles finds this party a bit boring? A lazy female voice, carrying the thick accent of New York's Upper East Side old money, drifted over from my side. I turned my head. To be honest, after acquiring the system and seeing so many so-called beauties, my standards had become extremely discerning. But the moment I saw the woman before me, I still let out a loud whistle in my mind. She wore a deep black evening gown that perfectly traced her stunning curves. She didn't wear any flamboyant jewelry. The pure, flawless emerald necklace resting on her swan-like neck alone was enough to buy half of Hollywood. She had a waterfall of blonde hair and features as exquisite as Michelangelo's most perfect sculpture. Most lethal of all were her gray-green eyes, which radiated a composure and ambition that seemed to see through everything. Harper Kensington, a true scion of New York's top plutocracy, and the sole heir to the Kensington family. Compared to her, Chloe, that so-called Ice Queen campus belle from UCLA, was practically a country girl playing house in the mud. Miss Harper initiating a conversation herself. That's a privilege one doesn't get every day. I lightly clinked my glass against hers, a perfectly measured, playful smirk playing on my lips. Harper naturally slipped her arm through mine, unhesitatingly pressing her breathtaking curves against me. Her red lips parted slightly. Every idiot at this gala is busy discussing how you struck it rich overnight. But I don't care where your money comes from, Jax. I only smell the scent of my own kind. A scent that is powerful, dangerous, and capable of devouring everything. Just as I was flirting with this genuine top-tier socialite under the shimmering chandeliers, my peripheral vision caught a glimpse of a disheveled figure holding a tray not far away. It was a waiter dressed in the standard black and white uniform, head bowed, tremulously pouring wine for several pot-bellied investors. I narrowed my eyes, almost letting out a laugh. It's a small world. Man, that server turned out to be Chloe. I found out later that after Preston was kicked out of the hotel that night, he felt he had lost face and took all his rage out on Chloe. Not only did he dump her on the spot, but he also sent people to reclaim every luxury item he had ever bought her, to maintain her ridiculous vanity. Chloe had long since maxed out over a dozen credit cards. Driven into a corner, she had no choice but to sneak into this high-end gala as a temporary server through an agency, hoping to hook another wealthy man and turn her luck around. Unfortunately for her, she was treated as less than a dog here. "What's wrong, darling? Do you know that waiter whose hands are shaking like he has Parkinson's?" Harper followed my gaze, keenly sensing something was off. I let out a cold sneer. Just a fool who once trampled my heart into the mud and is now reduced to serving drinks here. Whether by coincidence or a twist of fate, the floor manager was directing Chloe toward us, carrying 2 freshly mixed drinks. Chloe kept her head down, staring intently at the tray, terrified of making a single mistake and losing this high-paying hourly job. When she reached us and habitually flashed that sycophantic smile to speak, she finally saw my face clearly. Smash! Chloe froze as if struck by lightning. Her entire body jolted, and the sterling silver tray she was holding, along with 2 glasses of expensive champagne, slipped from her hands and crashed onto the marble floor. The sound of shattering glass was exceptionally jarring in the elegant ballroom. Jax? Chloe's voice cracked from extreme shock and fear, sounding like a squawking chicken with its neck stepped on. She stared intently at the priceless haute couture suit I was wearing, then looked at Harper Kensington, who was intimately linking arms with me, a woman whose temperament, looks, and family background crushed her into cosmic dust. A massive wave of inferiority and regret bit through her heart like a venomous snake. The surrounding elite cast looks of pure disgust. Harper shot Chloe a cold glance. The sheer aura of authority radiating from her bones caused Chloe's legs to go weak instantly. Has the standard of banquet service in Los Angeles degenerated to this level? Harper didn't even give her a direct look, merely adjusting my tie with nonchalance. To allow a clumsy woman like this, reeking of cheapness, to sneak in. Where is security? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Jax, help me. Tell them we know each other. Please, I can't lose this job, or the debt collectors will beat me to death. Chloe completely broke down, even attempting to grab at my pant leg with a total loss of dignity. I took a slight step back, avoiding her hands clad in cheap white gloves. I looked down at this former school flower, once so high and mighty, now sprawled amidst broken glass and spilled champagne. I didn't even bother to lift an eyelid. Security, I said, my voice not loud but carrying an unquestionable coldness. Clear out this trash that has soiled Miss Harper Sauls. Don't let her be an eyesore here. 2 burly bodyguards immediately dragged the desperately screaming Chloe away like a bag of trash. As she struggled, she stared fixedly at me, tears mixing with her exquisite makeup to smear her face. The regret in her eyes was so intense it almost felt tangible. The very second Chloe was thrown out the door, a frantic mechanical roar erupted deep within my mind. Ding! Detected target character Chloe experiencing unparalleled extreme regret and inferiority. Mental defenses have been completely shattered. Emotion rating, world-shattering level. System combo achieved. Congratulations to the host for triggering a milestone ultimate critical strike. Reward generating. Absolute control of the $50 million commercial empire in downtown LA. The Genesis Investment Group. Ownership transfer procedures have been locked within the underlying logic of the Swiss bank. Listening to the system's frantic notifications, I lowered my head and planted a gentlemanly kiss on the back of Harper's fair hand. From this moment on, the winds in Los Angeles had shifted completely. Monday morning in the Los Angeles financial district was as busy as ever. But for the Preston family, it was destined to be the beginning of the end of the world. I sat in the top-floor CEO office of my newly acquired Genesis Investment Group, located in the tallest skyscraper in downtown Los Angeles. The building itself was a work of art. Looking out from the panoramic floor-to-ceiling windows, the entire city of Los Angeles seemed to lie beneath my feet. The power of the system is terrifying. In just a single night, those business empires that originally belonged to various complex shareholding structures were all transferred under my name in a completely legal and untraceable manner. Now, I not only hold the top hotels in Beverly Hills but also control a massive amount of capital capable of triggering a tsunami on Wall Street. Dominic was still wearing his suit that seemed as if it would never wrinkle, standing before my desk like a cold statue. Boss, this is the due diligence report for all assets under the Preston family name. Dominic pushed a thick file toward me. Their family's core industries are real estate and ocean shipping. It looks massive, but in reality, their debt ratio is extremely high, and they rely entirely on bank capital chains for circulation. I flipped through a couple of pages casually before tossing the file aside. I'm not interested in seeing how they make money. I only want to know how to make them go bankrupt in a single minute. A cruel smile curled at the corners of Dominic's mouth. This was his area of expertise. It's simple. Genesis Capital is currently the largest liquidity provider for several major commercial banks in Los Angeles. With just one word from you, I can freeze all of the Preston family's credit lines within 10 seconds and force the early redemption of the mortgage bonds we hold. Then do it. I swiveled my executive chair, looking out at the blue sky beyond the window. Notify every bank partnered with them. Anyone who dares to lend a single cent to the Preston family is making an enemy of me. Jax. And while you're at it, send someone to inform that fat pig Preston. Tell him I'm the one behind it. As you wish, sir. This slaughter will be elegant. Dominic bowed slightly, turned, and walked out of the office. In less than half an hour, an 8-magnitude earthquake erupted across the Los Angeles business community. The Preston family's capital chain snapped in an instant, and their stocks plummeted to the bottom as soon as the market opened. Banks were frantically calling in debts, and creditors were blockading their doors. It was said that the once arrogant old man Preston suffered a cerebral hemorrhage from sheer rage right in his office and was rushed to the ICU. As for that haughty rich kid, Preston, he was currently sprinting through the streets of Los Angeles like a headless chicken. At 8 o'clock in the evening, the rain began to pour down once again. It was as if the Los Angeles weather itself was playing along with this frantic drama of revenge. I sat inside a bulletproof, jet-black Rolls-Royce Phantom parked at a street corner near the University of Los Angeles. Outside the window, the rain lashed violently against the streets. Dominic sat in the passenger seat, reviewing the real-time surveillance report on his tablet. Boss, Preston is drinking himself into a stupor at a nearby bar. He just found out we were the ones behind it. Interestingly, Chloe is there too. Oh? I raised an eyebrow. Didn't Preston dump her? Why does she still have the nerve to go looking for him? People at the end of their rope will always try to grasp at the last straw. Chloe probably doesn't know Preston is bankrupt yet. She's likely there to beg for a reconciliation, or at least to scam some money out of him to pay off her credit cards. Dominic sneered. Drive over there, I ordered calmly. The Rolls-Royce glided like a ghost into the torrential rain, pulling up in the back alley of a dive bar. Through the bulletproof glass, I had a clear view of the scene unfolding in the alley. It was a spectacle more gripping than any Oscar-winning Hollywood film. Drenched to the bone, Preston was acting like a rabid dog, grabbing Chloe by the hair and slamming her violently against the brick wall. It's all because of you. You bitch. Because of you. You gold-digging whore. Preston's face was contorted with rage as he roared, delivering a brutal slap to Chloe's face. If you hadn't insisted on humiliating Jax that night, how would my family have ever crossed paths with that devil? He's the king of Los Angeles now, with one flick of his finger. My entire family is bankrupt. I don't even know where I'm sleeping tonight. And you actually have the nerve to come to me for money? Chloe was beaten until her hair was a mess, and her lip was bleeding. Clutching her face, she screamed in disbelief. What did you say? Your family is bankrupt? Because of Jax? No. That's impossible. He's just a delivery boy. Fuck your delivery boy. Preston kicked Chloe hard in the stomach. He just bought half of Los Angeles. You're going to be the death of me. Watching the couple who once mocked me from their sports car now tearing at each other like stray dogs in the mud, I leaned back against the soft leather seat of my Rolls-Royce and couldn't help but burst out laughing. Is this the love you're so proud of? Is this the wealthy dream you, Chloe, were willing to risk your life to pursue? Kicked down into the muddy water, Chloe finally looked through the curtain of rain and saw the Rolls-Royce parked at the mouth of the alley, looming like a black behemoth. The headlights illuminated the torrential downpour, as well as my expressionless face behind the half-lowered car window. The moment she saw my face clearly, the light in Chloe's eyes extinguished completely, replaced by a bone-deep, indescribable sense of extreme regret. She finally realized that she had personally thrown a true trillionaire god of wealth into the mud like a piece of trash. Ding! Target character Chloe has generated a chain reaction. Critical hit level of regret. Emotional threshold has surpassed physical limits. Congratulations, host. God-level rewards are currently undergoing a frenzy of settlement. The torrential rain in Los Angeles felt as if it were trying to submerge the entire city. Chloe struggled to crawl up from the muddy water, no longer paying any mind to Preston, who was collapsing in tears like a heap of sludge nearby. She dragged her torn designer dress and came stumbling toward my Rolls-Royce. Lightning tore through the night sky, its pale glare illuminating her ghastly face. The once aloof ice queen of the campus, who used to consider even a glance at me a blessing, was now covered in mud and black tears streaked with mascara, looking more pathetic than a street vagrant. Jax, listen to me. Chloe lunged toward the door of the Rolls-Royce, her hands gripping the half-lowered window with desperate strength. Icy rain cascaded down her hair, but she ignored her appearance, pleading in a hoarse, ragged voice. I was wrong. I was really wrong. I know you did all this just to get back at me, which means you still care about me. Right. Chloe sobbed heart-wrenchingly, even trying to reach into the car to grab my sleeve. I love you, Jax. All those gold-digging things I said, Preston forced me to say them. Look, he beat me too. I've been punished. Can we start over? I don't care that you used to deliver food, as long as we can go back to how things were. I sat in the warm, comfortable cabin, watching her performance with cold detachment. The ambient lighting of the car emitted a faint blue glow, Harper leaned lazily against the seat on the other side, her long legs crossed, holding a glass of temperature-controlled vintage red wine. She watched Chloe through the window with a playful, mocking gaze, as if observing a monkey in a zoo. "This woman is not only stupid. She's disgusting," Harper remarked flatly, taking a small sip of her wine. I smiled, feeling the same way. I pressed the window control button, and the glass lowered slowly until it was fully open. The chill of the rainstorm rushed in instantly, but I didn't care at all. Chloe thought I had changed my mind, and a sudden burst of ecstatic light erupted in her eyes. She knelt directly in the muddy water, looking up at me as if she were gazing upon her god. "Jax, I knew you couldn't bear to." "Sure." I extended a finger to my lips, cutting her off. I pulled a crisp, $200 bill from the leather storage box beside me, held it between two fingers, and reached out the window. The rain instantly soaked the banknote. Chloe froze, staring blankly at the money in my hand, not understanding what I was doing. I loosened my grip. The $100 bill fluttered down through the wind and rain, landing precisely in the muddy puddle in front of Chloe. "Don't stop. Keep crying." I looked down at her from above, my gaze devoid of warmth and my voice so cold it seemed to freeze the raindrops around us. "Every tear of regret you shed is merely interest in my $1 trillion account. Consider this bill a tip for your passionate performance tonight. Pick it up, and then get as far away from me as possible." Chloe stared fixedly at the $100 bill in the muddy water, her body trembling violently. This wasn't charity. This was stripping away the last shred of her dignity and grinding it ruthlessly into the muck. She finally realized that the Jax who would spend 6 months' salary to buy her a necklace was dead. He had died in a muddy puddle that night. The man sitting before her now was a cold-blooded tyrant who viewed her as nothing more than worthless weeds. "Ah!" Chloe suddenly erupted into a piercing, blood-curdling scream. Clutching her head, she rolled and clawed frantically in the torrential rain and mud, falling into a state of total hysterical collapse. What little remained of her once ridiculous pride and vanity had been torn to shreds by the brutal reality. Ding! Target character Chloe has been detected experiencing extinction-level regret. Her mental system has completely collapsed. Emotional rating: abyss of despair. Congratulations to the host for meeting the final critical hit conditions. The system is now issuing the ultimate rewards. Ding! Supreme Godhead unlocked. Physical apotheosis procedure initiated. The mechanical voice in my mind grew incredibly high-pitched, as if countless voices were chanting in unison. Immediately after, a massive surge of energy that defied scientific explanation poured through my brow, flowing into every limb and bone of my body. I felt my senses extending infinitely. My vision seemed to pierce through the torrential rain, through the skyscrapers of Los Angeles, and even saw the stock market data flickering frantically far away on Wall Street. My body became weightless, yet it harbored a terrifying power capable of tearing through steel. I was no longer a mere mortal who possessed only wealth. "Roll up the windows. Dominic, drive," I commanded calmly, feeling the surging power within me. "As you wish, my king." Dominic complied immediately. The windows of the Rolls-Royce rolled up slowly, completely sealing out the storm outside and Chloe's heart-wrenching cries. Harper leaned in with a smile, pressing the wine glass to my lips. "Cheers, to the new master of Los Angeles." "No," I said, watching the night scenery recede outside the window, my lips curling into an arrogant arc. "To the new master of this world, ascending to godhood in the flesh." This is by no means a mere hyperbolic metaphor. As the Rolls-Royce pulled into my private mountainside estate in Beverly Hills, spanning thousands of acres, the metamorphosis within my body had reached total completion. I could clearly hear every minute vibration frequency of raindrops striking the bulletproof glass. If I so desired, my vision could even penetrate the estate's thick load-bearing walls to see the microscopic particles radiating from the mountains of gold bars stacked in the underground vault. My cells had been restructured by an invisible, majestic energy, and aging and disease had been utterly erased from my genetic sequence. I, Jax, now possessed eternal life and power that transcended the limits of human cognition. "Jax, you." Harper sat beside me, the glass of vintage red wine in her hand having spilled onto her haute couture gown at some point without her noticing. This heiress to a top New York conglomerate, a woman accustomed to every form of power the world had to offer, was now staring at me with a look of profound awe, as if gazing upon a deity, intermingled with a sense of frantic obsession. From her perspective, my already handsome features now radiated an irresistible pressure, with a faint, dark gold light swirling deep within my pupils. I didn't say a word. I simply raised my hand and made a light brushing motion toward the wine stain on her dress from across the air. A miracle occurred. As if time were flowing backward, the dark red liquid lifted from the fabric, reconverging into a perfect liquid sphere before settling steadily back into her crystal glass. Harper gasped. Then, without a moment's hesitation, she dropped to her knees on the spacious carpet of the Rolls-Royce's rear seat, burying her proud head deep against my lap and kissing the back of my hand in a gesture bordering on worship. "My lord," she whispered feverishly, 3 years later, the global landscape has been completely rewritten. The Wall Street conglomerates that once dominated the global economy. The ancient European old money families. And even the power players of certain superpowers now answer to only one name, the Genesis Group. And the true god behind the Genesis Group is me. I no longer need to earn money. For the global monetary system is nothing more than a string of code in my mind that can be modified at any time. I am bound by no laws. Because my very existence has become the supreme and ironclad rule of this planet. Dominic has become my sole spokesperson in the secular world. He is now known as the Swordbearer. Even a president wishing to see him must submit an application 6 months in advance. As for Harper, she has naturally become the woman standing by my side, managing this tedious yet necessary human society on my behalf. Another heavy rainstorm has begun to fall over Los Angeles this December. I stood on the rooftop terrace of the Genesis Tower, the tallest building in Los Angeles at 800 meters, clad in a pure black silk trench coat. As the gale and torrential rain approached within a meter of my body, they were automatically repelled by an invisible force field, unable to dampen even the hem of my coat. Boss, Dominic's voice resonated directly in my mind via the neural communication network. Today is the annual cleanup day. The latest situation from the bottom-tier slums has been compiled. There is a trivial piece of information that I thought might interest you. Speak, I responded indifferently, looking down at the city below, which was adorned with neon lights like a sprawling ant colony. We found Chloe and Preston in the lowest-tier homeless encampment in East Los Angeles. Dominic's voice remained flat, without a hint of emotion. Last week, Preston had both his legs broken by other vagrants while fighting over half a loaf of moldy bread. Now, he can only crawl through the sewers like a maggot. As for Chloe, Dominic paused for a moment. She has gone completely insane. For 3 years, she has been digging with her bare hands in sewers and mud puddles every single day. All 10 of her fingernails have long since peeled off, and her fingers are rotted to the bone. Yet she keeps digging. If anyone approaches, she hisses and howls like a wild animal, claiming she is looking for a Tiffany necklace, a priceless treasure given to her by her fiancé, Jax. Hearing this, my heart remained like a pool of stagnant water, without the slightest ripple of emotion. Sympathy? Pity? Ridicule? None of it. When an elephant strolls through the clouds, how could he possibly care about the ant beneath his feet, the one that once tried to bite him, and how it now struggles in agony within the mire? Erase them, I commanded calmly, as if ordering the sweeping away of 2 fallen leaves. Let her end this pathetic life in the most lucid state of regret. As you wish, my God. As Dominic's voice fell, deep within my mind, the system voice that had been silent for 3 years finally emitted one last ethereal notification. Ding! It has been detected that there is no longer anyone in this world who is able, or dares, to make the host feel a sense of humiliation. The ultimate mission of the Earth sector, Goddess's regret system, has been successfully completed, opening interstellar coordinates for the host. My creator, the vast throne of the universe awaits your arrival. I tilted my head slightly, gazing up at the storm-lashed night sky. The dark gold light in my eyes erupted suddenly, piercing through the heavy rain clouds of Los Angeles like 2 sharp swords, reaching straight into the deep and boundless expanse of the starry cosmos. The game has only just begun. And that's a wrap, folks. If this story gave you that sweet dopamine hit and was more satisfying than peeling the plastic off a brand new TV, do me a massive favor. Obliterate that like button and hit subscribe. I'm locked in the content mine serving up fresh, ridiculously satisfying stories every single day. See you tomorrow for your next fix.